Let's talk about the atmosphere there.
Well, Kara, I can tell you there has been a real vibe shift here in the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so. We were actually starting to see some people that are leaving. There have been streams of people going. The crowd has thinned out just a little bit. You know, we've spoken with campaign sources who they tell us that they think that they can still hold the blue wall. But when we talk to people within the Democratic Party, there's a real concern that's starting to build as they look at the margins in these blue wall states, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in Michigan. There's nerves, a lot of nerves tonight about the numbers that they're seeing coming in and just how she's performing versus how Joe Biden did 4 years ago.
ABC News has not projected Georgia, but we can report that Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, has now said at a press conference moments ago that Donald Trump has a, quote, insurmountable lead with the number of votes outstanding in the state of Georgia. He said, it looks like this is pretty much done. I think the results are pretty well baked in. And of course, you all at home remember our reporting on Raffensperger, the Republican who famously stood firm during that key phone call when Donald Trump asked, just find me the 11,000 votes when he lost to Joe Biden. So this is not someone who's necessarily obviously very friendly with Donald Trump. He stands by the process. He stands by the hard work in that state to make sure that this election was safe. And tonight, moments ago, again, we haven't projected this at ABC News, but the Secretary of State in Georgia saying this is insurmountable that Donald Trump has won there.
And look, Brad Raffensperger is a Republican. He's elected Republican, but he is a straight shooter. No doubt about it. So, again, we haven't called it, but I would take what he said very seriously.
Let's get right to the ground.
You know, he's got a 41,000. Trump's got a 41,000 vote lead right now. There's more to come, and there's more blue votes to come in as well. So, a long way to go, but rather be Donald Trump here than Kamala Harris
in Wisconsin.
Kamala Harris.
Yes. Say that again, Donna.
I would rather be Kamala Harris. Look. You know the state better than I know it, but I also know how difficult it is to get all of the votes counted in Milwaukee. And also Dane. I mean, Dane had not only a significant early vote, but also a great turnout today with the same-day registration, as well as some of the young people in line. So I still believe the verdict is still out. We may not know Milwaukee, the final verdict, until sometime tomorrow morning.
It's too early. You could be right.
Well, you owe me a beer.
I don't think you're going to be right, but you could be. I'm not saying
I'll take Milwaukee best.
I mean,
I'd rather be where we're at.
Spotted cow. But Dane County, they've already counted 94% of the vote. And she seems to have fallen short. That's a...
John, these are razor-thin margin.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Come on, let's not try to win by a blowout. I mean, she's getting there.
We're starting to see Trump.
Let's look at the...
really robbed of the score. I mean, this is obviously not a meaningful number at the end of the night, but as of now, he's winning the popular vote by 5,600,000 votes. That will change with California. There's a lot of votes out there, but that's not a result that a lot of people saw coming, that it would even be close on the popular vote side. I think it's a function of all that rural run-up and how close he has kept it in all these other states.
Wow, folks. So the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, calls in, says that the lead is now insurmountable. And what does Jonathan Carl and the other people, they say? He's a straight shooter. Even though he's Republican and he didn't cave in to Donald Trump in 2020, he's a straight shooter. And yet, their own decision desk can't make the call before midnight saying that Georgia has gone to Trump, even though they know full well in the pit of their stomachs, in their gut, the truth is out there staring them right in their faces, but they're not going to do it. Why? Because it would look like they were succumbing to pressure. Oh, you called it too early because the Secretary of State, the Republican from Georgia, called in. How dare you? Election interference, election interference. That's exactly what would have happened. So they got to wait a little bit to placate the audience and to string them along. And then I just was writing this down because I wanted to make sure I was quote this at Donna Brazil. As I said before, how she ever gets these gigs. I'd like to know, Donna, could you send me an email? Could you send some brother some love here? How do you manage to be a liar and a cheat and still get paid millions and millions of dollars. That's what a book you ought to write. How to be successful being a race trader, race hater, race baiter. Oh, and by the way, a liar and a cheat, and make millions of dollars while you're doing it. That would be a great title of a book. I want my royalties if you use that title, Donna. But she says she'd rather be Kamala Harris at this point in the night than Donald Trump. I mean, you've got to be absolutely freaking delusional. And then, what did she say? She said that, hey, calm down, everybody, calm down. You know, Democrats, she's getting there. Who's getting where? Kamala Harris is getting there? What, getting there close to losing? Or do you actually think she's getting close there to winning the blue wall states and the Sun Belt states? I mean, what's going on there, Donna? I mean, that's just a delusional rant. And then when he brings up the popular votes, this is something that they were not expecting at all, folks. They weren't expecting Donald Trump to be ahead. They weren't expecting to be in the Electoral College. But now they've got to actually sit there and start thinking, how are they gonna spin this? Because the thing was that in their minds, if Donald Trump did happen to win, but he was going to lose the popular vote, then, you know, the Electoral College is racist and bigoted, needs to be thrown out. We just need to go with the popular vote. They can't spin that anymore, folks. There's no way to spin that you win the popular vote and the electoral vote. There's just no way to spin that. So now their mental gymnastics are occurring in every pundit's head on all the legacy media outlets. How do we, you know, what's our apology, the apologetics, the political apologetics, the gymnastics we have to go through? How do we spin this? They just can't. Anyways, we want you to sit back and relax, grab your favorite drink, just like Donna Brazil said. You know what? She's going to lose that. She's going to owe Reince Priebus, okay, a case of some nice beer, whatever he drinks, I guess. But grab your favorite drink, grab some popcorn, sit back and relax, because there's so much more ABC election meltdowns for you to see. So let's continue to watch.
Unfolding.
Harris
Rick Klein over at the big
headquarters
board.
at Howard University. Eva Pilgrim is there. Eva, let's talk about the atmosphere there.
Well, Kira, I can tell you there has been a real vibe shift here in the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so.
Did you hear that, folks? She said a vibe shit. And then she corrected herself and said shift. I mean, let's hear that again. Let's hear that again.
Let's talk about the atmosphere there.
Well, Kira, I can tell you there has been a real vibe shift here in the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so. We're actually starting to see some people that are leaving. There have been streams of people going. The crowd has thinned out just a little bit. You know, we've spoken with campaign sources who they tell us that they think that they can still hold the blue wall. But when we talk to people within the Democratic Party, there's a real concern that's starting to build as they look at the margins in these blue wall states, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in Michigan. There's nerves, a lot of nerves tonight about the numbers that they're seeing coming in and just how she's performing versus how Joe Biden did 4 years ago. One of the things the Harris campaign keeps sending us is information about the long lines at college campuses. And one source said to me, we can't count on those votes for Harris. Kira?
All right, Eva Pilgrim.
This is a big one. It's North Carolina, 16 electoral votes go to
Took
former
him long
President
enough.
Donald Trump. He has won the state of North Carolina tonight.
Once again, for
Let's
Harris,
get right over to
it's now a vanishingly small map. The biggest opportunity still Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. It doesn't matter that she's lost North Carolina or even that she loses these others. The other possibility that could be intriguing, given what we're seeing out west, is that she pieces something else together. Pennsylvania is an absolute must-win at this point. No question about it. She needs to win that state, but she could win
so many communities in this country. So let's drill down on Pennsylvania at this hour, because this number, the Donald Trump lead has grown.
Yeah.
And is this a surmountable lead for the Harris campaign?
There's definitely still votes on the table where it can be made up, but it gets harder as the night goes on as more vote comes in.
Governor, what do you make of Pennsylvania, what you're looking at right now?
Well, I spent a lot of time there during my time as governor, and those 900,000 votes in the collar counties in Philly are a big deal. But it just keeps getting tougher and tougher there. You know, you got over a 200,000 vote lead now, so it gets tougher. But that part of it's not over. I look at Michigan.
Yeah, right. Chris Christie's eating a lot of crow. That's good, though, because it's primarily protein. It's keto diet. He needs to do that. You know, stay away from the carbs, all right, this evening.
And still see Harris in a pretty good position in Michigan. And as Ryan has said before about Wisconsin, I still think that's a jump ball. Although, look, you have to say at this point, you'd rather be Trump than Harris, given the way the map is being laid out. As we sit here now.
Carl, this is the other thing, potentially a big night for Donald Trump and all of the Republican Senate candidates who were looking either to fill an open seat or to replace a Democratic incumbent.
Look, it's not over. A lot of votes
Yes,
still
it
to
is.
count,
It's
but the trend lines
over.
are clear. And what you are seeing is potentially Donald Trump on the precipice of the greatest comeback in American political history. I mean, we've never seen anything like
Finally,
this.
the truth ekes
presidents
out.
lose and come back. You know, we remember Grover Cleveland coming back, but this is...
You do.
Yeah. Time ago, but
We weren't around for that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yuckity yuck,
but
yuckity yuck, just
a
kidding.
president who left the White House the way he left, impeached for the second time, 7 members of his own party voting to convict him in the Senate, facing multiple criminal trials, indictments in 4 separate cases,
All
convictions
bullshit.
in the case
All
in New
bullshit.
York. And to face all of that, come back, recapture the Republican nomination, and be on the precipice of potentially getting back into the White House is something unlike anything we have ever seen in American history. Even with Donald Trump, we've just...
Well, Jonathan and all you other guys, if you had listened to yours truly, you would have seen that yours truly never wavered. In fact, I said he was going to go stronger. He was going to grow bigger, better, more powerful. Just check out my videos. Check out my predictions. That's what I say. When you're right, you're right. I'm always right. And when you're left, you guys are always wrong.
never seen something like this.
So
and
right
to see
now,
the
as you can see from our projections here, the scenarios that we are running, it looks quite good for Donald Trump at this
It's an uphill
point in the
climb
night.
at this point. It would seem mathematically for Kamala Harris to catch up to Donald Trump with this kind of lead in Pennsylvania, though the Harris campaign certainly isn't even
idiots.
acknowledging that. They've
They
already
really
said
do.
this is going to be a very long
Here in the
night
East.
or nights. North Carolina called for Trump, 69.7 out of 100 chances of winning. The simulations that our team is doing, 30% chance of winning for Kamala Harris.
The simulations
Show us
are
what
all
happens with
shit.
Pennsylvania, really, for either one.
Well, Pennsylvania puts Trump over the top at this point. I mean, there's no way anymore to see how this doesn't devastate her chances.
270.
But I want
Kamala Harris with 194 electoral votes. Donald Trump with 230 electoral votes. Everyone now waiting to see how the blue wall will go, actually, which way the wave hits when it hits shore, I guess, because it's very close.
God, these guys
Kamala
are
Harris's
unbelievable.
campaign believes it still has a pathway through those 3 states of Pennsylvania,
They're
Michigan,
delusional,
and Wisconsin.
David, just like
though it is
you.
very tight and mathematically challenging at this point.
Also want to go to Whit
Rick
Johnson,
something you've
who
known has some late reporting from the Trump campaign. Whit, I would gather the Trump campaign is very happy with what they're seeing, and we heard from Reince here a short time ago that Donald Trump himself extraordinarily pleased with how the night's gone.
That's right, David. The party is really energized here tonight. A lot of confidence in the room. And a Trump campaign spokesperson tells us that the former president is actually on his way right now to the convention center where we
in
are
West Palm
from
Beach
Mar-a-Lago.
tonight. Whit, as soon as he gets there, you'll let us know. Let's go over to Eva Pilgrim. She's in Washington, D.C., Howard University. Eva,
The Trump dance,
I
baby.
gather the temperature of the evening has shifted there.
Quite remarkably, very different than what Whit is seeing there at the Trump campaign. You can see this was a very crowded area just a short time ago, when we last came to you.
Losers!
The crowd is leaving. They have been leaving for some time now. And, you know, the campaign is telling us that they still think that there is a chance that they can hold that blue wall. But there are a lot of nerves and a lot of reservations that people are having. We heard Whit talking about the fact that the former president is on his way to his campaign event. At last check just a moment ago, the vice president is still at the Naval Conservatory, which is the vice president's residence here in D.C., is not on her way here. And as you watch that crowd there shifting away, I mean, it has become dramatically smaller. People just waiting. We've heard repeatedly from the campaign that to tell staffers to go home, that they are not anticipating a result tonight, to get some sleep. But a major vibe shift here. I had one Democratic source tell me that the vibe is not good. And this is brutal for them,
Arizona.
David.
Before we bring her in, we're just going to pause here in just a moment, just so that the rest of the network can join us here. Let's pause here.
Well, folks, not much else to really react to other than the fact that these guys just kept prolonging the calls. They knew back in their decision desks, okay, the calls they had to make, but they just want to prolong this into the night to sort of say that Kamala Harris, she gave it the good fight. We waited until all the votes, a majority of the votes were in before we had to call it. They could have called this around 10:30 in the evening, 11 o'clock at the latest. They could have called this election, but they didn't want to do that. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I'm your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, like, share, and follow, y'all know what to do. Put down your comments below. You on the ABC side, the Democratic side, or are you on the Trump side like us? My final thought is always, when you're right, you're right. Damn, was I right. And when you're left, all those losers, they're all wrong. Until next time, folks, y'all take care and stay safe.